Good evening, our viewers and listeners from Nigeria. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Elombah Television tonight. The discussion we are having centers around the growing threat of insecurity around the nation. We have guests today who are here to discuss the problem. So we have Mr. Mefor, we have Fcc Jones Onwuasoanya, we have Adigun Amoole Makanjuola, we have Marcel Ngogbehei, we have Alibaba Mohammed, we have Otunba, Hashim, Olabode, Osenie. Please, you are all welcome to today's discussion. So Fcc Jones, you are here. Can you please tell us in the next 3 to 5 minutes, what in your opinion is the cause of this general insecurity? What do you think is the contributory role being played by the formation of IPOB and ESN, if any? Fcc, you have the floor.
Good evening, Colonel Elombah. Good evening, members of the forum. So while we may argue that the present, the people who are currently or who are assumed, who are suspected to be behind the current state of insecurity in the Southeast at the moment may be those who are genuinely aggrieved, who have one reason or the other to be angry with the federal government of Nigeria or Southeast political leaders, or those who really want to cause trouble, who are mischievous, who have one political aim or the other, or motivation behind their actions. But we must, 90% of the problems, 90% of the blame should go to the political class, because if they have done what they should do and at the time they should do them, some of these people, even though the recruiter, those who are recruiting people to cause trouble in the Southeast may have less number of people who are willing to be recruited, because there is no job. The level of insecurity in the country, or especially the Southeast, is frightening. Also, most people in the Southeast feel that the current federal government has not adequately carried them along in the governance of the country. So that alone contributes to the willingness of a number of youths to make themselves available to be recruited by the troublemakers. But that's not enough excuse why people should want to destabilize the Southeast for any reason, because no reasonable person brings a war to his homestead. I believe that there could be other ways, there could be more peaceful and strategic ways of expressing our grievance, of expressing our anger, of expressing our dissatisfaction with how things are being run in the country, especially in the Southeast. And we may achieve better results if we explore those more peaceful ways of going about these things. So in my thinking, in summary, first and foremost, we must blame the political class for failing in their responsibility to provide good governance to the people. And also, if I am allowed to go on, also those currently...
Yes, let's take, because you will not exhaust whatever you want to say at this point. So let's take this 3 to 5 minutes first presentation and then allow others to come in before we go forward. All right. We have Otunba Osenie. What can you use the next 3 to 5 minutes also to give your opinion on the general state of insecurity, and what role, if any, are played by the non-state actors like IPOB, Oduduwa agitation in the general insecurity, because that is what the topic is all about.
Thank you very much, Dan, for having me. Like the first speaker said, most of the time, issue of agitation, whether in our climb, outside our climb, can be traced to dissatisfaction. In most cases, governments that are not doing the lack of, the will of the people. Bad governance, in most cases, will contribute to 90%. I am mindful of the fact that civilized countries, we can start with America, despite how far America has gone with democracy, you can still see that when you have a bad leader or leadership, they can turn everything upside down. And for me, what we have in Nigeria in particular is nothing more but this, that the people that were selected, because I stopped using the election now because I cannot remember when a good election was conducted. There were good intentions. There's probably the only one good election that was conducted, but then again it was annulled. So if you see the large number of people who are dissatisfied, who are disenfranchised, who do not even contribute minimum, which is the electoral rights they have to governance in the country, it should be a miracle that all what we have now, the agitations on the IPOB, the Yoruba here, the Middle Belt, everything, will not be there. But because it has become a culture, it become a norm, which is very sad. In a country where blessed like Nigeria have to deal with bad governance to a very, very great extent. Bad governance can be everywhere. But what I'm saying is, 100% of governance we have been having since 1900, 1914, 1960 up to date has always been terribly bad. They've gone wrong. People cannot wake up and say, here I am, I'm a full-fledged Nigerian, and I have at least minimum basic things that I can identify myself to be a Nigerian, and I want to fight for Nigeria. If you find anybody, then if you find anybody in Nigeria today that says, I want to defend Nigeria, we need to check his credentials. One of his probably credentials would be one of those. In fact, those of us, those of them who are stolen Nigerian dry, will not want to defend Nigeria. It's as bad. So for me, it is a byproduct of bad governance that to a great extent contributed to or linked to the elites, the politicians. They brought by all these problems. And in most of my public discussions and so on and so, I've always said we need to go back to basics, take our mindset to the lab. We need to recalibrate the mindset of people who chose to punish their fellow Nigerians by denying them basic things. It is not right. One of my programs 2 days ago, my guest was saying, what do I see in Nigeria? I said, what do you see in Nigeria? He said, I only see cows. I said, what does that mean? He said, I see cows. Here we are, cows have better opportunity to roam around the schools, hospitals, judiciary premises, everywhere, markets, and you can't do anything about it. And people believe they are getting away with that because the bad governance we have, take advantage of that. Cow does not need Medicare. They don't need to pay tax. They don't need good roads. So when you now see some group of people waking up and say, enough is enough. We cannot continue like this. We need to stand up and start fighting for other people, other Nigerians. You cannot blame them. And that is the truth. And that is where I think, for now, let me rest my case.
Marcel, Mr. Ngogbehei, what in your opinion, I'm always finding it difficult to pronounce your surname, so forgive me. Go ahead.
It's okay. You need to drop some pounds so we can teach you. Okay. See, let us be very factual. And I used to tell people that if you don't understand the cause of your problem, you will never be able to find a solution. So let's step back a little bit. At independence, we have 3 regions, and a constitution was made that gives some kind of powers to the regions, what they can do and what they cannot do. So the regions were supposed to develop on their own. And this thing is what we need to always tell ourselves, because if you trace them, anybody that understands trend analysis, we know that it's just a matter of time before we get where we are. So it is inevitable. Now, those three regions could come together to agree, and there is some kind of structure that gives powers. So no one region would be able to subdue the other. It was there. And then the fourth region was created by agreements. There is some form of referendum or plebiscite, whatever they call it. The fourth region was created by agreement. Then the coup came on board. Aguiyi took over after the coup failed, and then he appointed administrators to those four regions. So that structure was still in place. Any military man that takes over governance, what they simply do is to appoint administrators to administer each of these states. So Aguiyi appointed administrators to administer those four regions, and it was at the head. For some reason, people felt he's not dealing with people that caused the stuff, and then there was another coup. Now, things happened, war happened, and then when we came back, Gowon went ahead and messed up the region, created states, and that was the beginning of our problems. Because if Gowon had just, after the war, he had just appointed people to head those regions and then go ahead to conduct elections and return the regions back to political leadership, we would, with the constitution that was in place, would have still be fine. We would have just have grown. The regions would have just grown on their own. But Gowon went ahead to create 12 states, messing up the entire region. Now, that was the first illegality and the first problem Nigeria had. Now, subsequent leadership now learned that they can create states and bastardize things. We found ourselves at this point where some people, by virtue of creating this state and messing up the structure of the country, had some kind of leverage against others in such a way that without having them agree on change cannot happen. Now, this had run over the years. And let me tell you one thing. When you bring a group of people together and you are able to hold them for a number of years, a time will come when some of them will come up and say, look, enough is enough. We can't take this shit any longer. And then at that point, you should expect that even you will not enjoy the peace in your house, because they say it's somebody that has enough peace in his house that go ahead looking for trouble. Now, that is one. The current problem we are having, I will place the blame purely on the Senate and the leadership of the House of Assembly. The 1999 Constitution is flawed, but it has made a place where political leadership can be held to account. So when a president is misbehaving, when a president is messing up, the Senate and the House of Assembly have a right. They have powers. They have legislative powers to hold him to account. But what you have at this point is the Nigerian Senate and the House of Assembly have gone to sleep. They are rubber stamp. If the executive sends a monkey to the Senate today as a minister, I can tell you 90 to 100% that it will go through. So because the executive have found out that they can do anything without anybody questioning them, the era of impunity takes over. The president would go ahead and appoint people as he likes, even dead people. And then the president will go ahead, use the Nigerian military the way he thinks he likes. Now, let us look about it. Let us look at it, Elombah. When this issue started, when we had a lot of killings in the north, in Benue, when some alleged Fulani were moving around villages, sacking villages and killing villages, what did the government do? Because that was the beginning of the problem. If government have moved on immediately and stamped his feet on ground and said, no, this cannot happen. You kill a village, you take over the whole village, you rename it, you occupy it in this day and time. And then the federal government, the Senate, the House of Assembly, everybody kept quiet. Nobody did anything. Then this thing moved on, and then it moved into the south. You have headsmen occupying bushes, raping women, killing people, and then into the south, into the south, into the southwest. Now, what do you expect? That the people will keep on submitting their heads to be slaughtered? And when you create such vacuum, you're giving room people to activate their right for self-defense. And this is what I see. So in my own opinion, the greatest failure and the singular institution to blame for the current insecurity in Nigeria across board is the Senate and the House of Assembly. They have refused to hold the executive to account. Rather, they have worked with the executive to ensure that whatever the executive throws at Nigerians, Nigerian gets it. So at this point, Nigerians are on their own. And they've decided to say, look, we would not have to put our heads on the slab to be slaughtered like goats. And that was what gave rise to Amotekun. That was what gave rise to ESN. That was what gave rise to the bandits. That was probably what gave rise to the civilian JTF. That was what gave rise to all other smaller security outfits that have now risen up to defend themselves. Those people have now found a way to acquire weapons. And they found out that even the so-called governments take sides. So then we all know the problem. The Senate and the House of Assembly members, they need to sit up or they should be dissolved.
All right, we thank you. That's another perspective being introduced into the discussion. We'll come back to that later on. Let's listen to our next guest. Is Mr. Adigun here yet? Yes, he is. Mr. Adigun Makanjuola, can you please unmute yourself and give your opinion as the probable cause of the general insecurity that is now spreading across the country? You can unmute yourself, sir. Mr. Makanjuola.
Okay, I've done that. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but you are dark. But continue.
Yes. That is the failure of the Nigerian state. It's part of the malice that have destroyed the Nigerian landscape for a very long time. Thank you very much. I want to first fundamentally tender a apology for coming online very late. I am Adigun Makanjuola. I'm a part of the agitators for Oduduwa Republic. I'm a historian, and we've been in this struggle for many years, spanning over 23 to 25 years now, because we have that depth understanding of the fact that the Nigerian contraption, ab initio, was not created to succeed. The idea of talking about structural dysfunctionalism, or talking about the ineffective Senate or member or House of Representatives, or talking about an executive branch of government that was consciously planted to continue with the food war policy of the jihadists, we felt that the southern part of the country at the Middle Belt is a conquered territory and an estate of their own great-grandfather. For us to be able to understand the cause of the problems of insecurity in Nigeria, I want every discussant to understand that from the beginning, when the idea of the Nigerian state was conceived, it was conceived in a bad faith. The British never had intention of planting a nation state as heterogeneous as the nation state may reflected. The British who conceived the idea of creating Nigeria as a nation state have never had that conviction that they actually want Nigeria to succeed. If not so, they should have taken cognizance of the disparity, the natural disparity, the natural characteristics that abound within the context of the heterogeneous spread of all the nationalities that they came to put together as Nigeria. That these various nationalities have their own natural characteristics and they cannot live together. That the British succeeded in using their both diplomacy to keep Nigeria as a contraption and an economic enterprise, which they intended to exploit for many years. And mark you that there is also the Anglo-Fulani part of 1903, where even before the idea of the migration was conceived, the British have entered into a political agreement with the Fulanis, the Caliphate, how they will later create a superstructure, called a nation state, where the Fulani will become the caretaker, while the British become the owner. So if we want to begin to discuss the issue of insecurity, let us ask ourselves a fundamental question. That the cause of the matter is that from the beginning, all the component parts of the country that were put together never knew each other. And there was no avenue for natural integration among this set of nationalities. But as I think before independence, there were various conferences that we had. But from the 1914 the Nigerian Council, to the Richard Constitution of 1922-23, to that of Richard, Clifford, Richard, the one Bodilon was able to understand the peculiar nature of the Nigerian geographical and political reality, and it devised a policy mechanism on how to deal with this. But it could not stay longer before subsequent British colonial governors were brought forth to come and continue with the policy of colonizing the entire Tower of Babel and eventually giving us what we call the flag independence in 1960. Now, I want to put this question to all of you, that what is the import of this message by the first premier of the Northern region, Ahmadu Bello, when 11 days after independence, as it was published in the Power newspaper, that the new Nigeria shall be an estate of his own great-grandfather. They shall ruthlessly deal with the change of power. Man, the one ruthlessly. How can such a man, who was acclaimed to be a founding father of Nigeria, now be attributed to have made such a disintegrative statement that the estate newly created, that was granted independent by Britain, is the estate of his own great-grandfather, and the beautiful people are to be used as willing toes, and the South as a conquered territory? They will never allow them to rule over themselves. They will never allow them to rule over them. Then would they allow them to rule over themselves and take charge of their destiny? I want to ask the discussant, my co-discussant, and people who are listening to us all over the world, now what is the import of this particular declaration by a personality that was acclaimed to be a founding father of the Nigerian state? That he was one of the nationalists who got independence for Nigeria. So the crisis we are seeing now has an historical connection with some of these contradictions from the past. And until when we're able to tell ourselves the truth, because if you look at the factors that brought about the current leadership in Nigeria, you will know that it was not born out of genuine patriotism. It was not born out of genuine nationalism. That actually there's a need for a regime change, and that Nigerians have come together irrespective of whatever is their religious inclination or ethnic identity. But as soon as these people took over power in 2015, the same clan call, the war pledge of Ahmadu Bello, that is an estate of a great-grandfather, and they must not allow anybody to be in charge, was what was implicated by what Buhari did when he began to appoint all Fulanis and all those who are pro-Fulanis. It was a government that is supposed to reflect national balancing, that is supposed to reflect federal character, that is supposed to reflect quota system. And I must let you know this. The Fulani knew. They knew that the Nigerian amalgamation have an expiring date. And that date is going to 2014. And they have already brought people from the Sahel. They brought their lives from the Sahel. There are many press statements attributed to the Fulani nationalist movement, where they have threatened us that they are going to come in with their core Fulanis from sub-Saharan Africa and begin to wage war, that the Nigerian state and all the lands there belong to their own people. So all the issue of insecurity still boils down to the fact that we don't have a nation. Nigeria is not yet a nation state. The unity of Nigeria is a farce. It's a mirage.
All right. Okay, Mr. Makanjuola, we'll still come back to you. Let us have a response to some of the issues you have raised in this discussion. But Fcc Jones, I think because you started the discussion, Alibaba is not able to join. Maybe he will join by audio later because of network issues. FCC, what's your response to some of the issues raised, especially by Mr. Makanjuola?
Well, I think the last speaker, if he is, I cannot get his name very accurately, he is as angry as every Nigerian, and his anger is understandable. However, we must work or invest our energy more towards preferring solution. I do not think that division is the only way out of the mess we have found ourselves in. I tell people that if we can transmute our anger, our dissatisfaction against the Nigerian system to exploring political ways or getting involved in the politics of the nation, I think we will go a long way in achieving peaceful ways or of getting to a more peaceful way of resolving these issues and making everybody or majority of the people satisfied with the Nigeria we have. Obviously, there is nobody in today's Nigeria who will be happy that there is no infrastructure, that it appears the current federal government has been hijacked by a particular section of the country, that it appears the people from a particular section of the country. Hello? Yeah, it appears that people from a particular section of the country, that is the Southeast, do not have enough manpower to occupy certain sensitive positions in the country of today, in today's federal government. It's not a very good thing, not a very good thing for anyone, any genuinely patriotic Nigerian to condone. But beyond asking for dissolution of the current federal government or the current union we have found ourselves in, I believe that we should explore more political ways. We should think about other options of people who are in the diaspora, people who are in Nigeria should think more, should invest more towards coming to participate in the political system, in the electoral contest, bring their wealth of knowledge, their talent, their finances too. We cannot sit back and conclude that nothing can work. We cannot sit back in our comfort zones and conclude that, well, the system is already rigged. I think if we are as tenacious as some people have been in fomenting trouble, if we are more creative, if we become more patriotic, if we can show a little more faith in Nigeria, not in the Nigerian political class, because sometimes when I say that Nigeria should prevail, a lot of people come against me, a lot of people come upon me asking me why I should ask that Nigeria should prevail. I am not asking for the present system, for the current situation of things to prevail. I am asking for the Nigeria, the country we are all part of, that we did not bargain to be part of, but that nature, providence has placed us in to prevail. And when it prevails, when Nigeria prevails, I believe all of us have prevailed. So we should be looking at ways to invest in bringing about that positive change we all aim for, or we all desire for.
Mr. FCC, I'm not sure anybody will disagree with the angle you are taking. However, people are concerned now at the general state of dangerous insecurity in the country. And so they are worried. What is the cause of this insecurity? What should be done? What practical measures can be taken now to solve the problem? How do you see what I've just said?
Yes. We have said a lot about the root cause of this insecurity. And I think one of the problems we have in the country is not about lack of ideas about how to solve problems, but the lack of the political will and sincerity of purpose in implementing wonderful ideas.
Let me be specific.
For instance,
okay, let me be specific in my question. There are multiple attacks on security agencies in the Southeast region and in the South-South. The police are pointing at IPOB and ESN. The Imo State governor is saying it is political enemies. The people also in Ebonyi State, people are pointing at the herdsmen. Have we been able to properly identify and say these are the people carrying out these attacks in this region?
Well, I'm not a security agent. I do not work in any security agency in the country to be able to say these are the people. carrying out these attacks. I think the government, the Southeast governors, are being reactionary. I think earlier today they held a meeting and came up and reiterated their position on setting up a regional security outfit. I think that is a little too late, because many months ago, their southwestern counterpart set up Amoteco. And there is actually, the Ebubago thing looks like copying the Amoteco formula or model adopted by the southwestern governors. I think, even though I'm not a security expert, but I think investing in intelligence gathering will be more, we have more impact, will be more impactful at this time than the showiness of Ebubago. I saw the other time on social media where some uniform wearing but bellied people were being paraded as pioneer officers or recruits of the Ebubago security formation. If that is correct, if that picture is real, then it is an embarrassment to the Ebubago, or to the idea of a regional security setup, because with what this guy, whichever group is involved, some people, sometimes I have reasons to suspect that the ESN is involved, is behind some of the attacks, because they say when the witch cries at night and the baby dies in the morning, you know where to point your fingers at. Because it was just a few months ago when Nnamdi Kanu made a broadcast announcing the formation of the ESN and threatening or assuring Igbos that they were out to protect us or protect the Igbos against Fulani herdsmen invasion, and also made other threats, threatening security agencies. And before you know it, we started seeing attacks on security formations across the Southeast. Even if the ESN operatives or the ESN militia or the ESN freedom fighters, whatever label they will want to be addressed, are not directly behind these attacks, it is my argument that they set the grounds for this, whichever external forces or internal forces or whichever criminals or terrorists who are behind these attacks, to unleash these attacks on the Southeast. And whoever is behind it, it has to be, discouraged. And
yeah.
Okay.
Now, thank you very much. Now, please don't go. We'll come back to you on this topic. But now that Mohammed Alibaba is here, maybe the network in the area has improved. So, Mohammed, over to you.
Yeah, how are you, sir?
We're fine, thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead. What do you have to say on the topic we have tonight?
Yeah, truly the topic we have tonight is very germane, but the root causes, I think, are deeper than some of the, where a lot of some commentators have now raised. For instance, before my network went off, I overheard someone talking about cows having priority over human beings. And then these are the kind of narratives that actually exacerbate, because these cows have been moving for centuries. They moved under Obasanjo, even in the civilian regime. They moved under Eradua, and they moved under Jonathan. But they've become an issue because Buhari is a Fulani, and so he's the one now that is encouraging the cows to move. So these are the kind of narratives that actually attack the symptoms rather than the foundation of the problem. I think we all know, partly the Nigerian police, since when the military came back after Shehu Shagari, the Nigerian police has been serially neglected, because these internal security problems we've been having are their primary responsibilities to checkmate. But because of the kill and go, the way Shagari, paid attention to the Sunday Adewisi-led police, military saw the civilian then as preparing them as a counterforce to their eventual overthrow. And so since they came, serially till now, the police has been neglected. A lot of us that are over 50 and above knew how the police used to be respected, how well equipped they were. Some of them have even filling stations. We all saw them. They were highly motivated because we grew up with some of them. But like I said, since after the Shagari coup, they have been serially neglected. And that was partly the genesis. And then, of course, too, the centralized nature of the police, though initially the opposition to state police was essentially because of what were the local police were used before by the authorities. They were used to oppress their opponents. So, and that was why they were feared that if we had state police, maybe they could also be similarly employed. But with the way things are now, we knew that the police is overwhelmed. Even apart from lack of motivation and equipment, they are numerically overwhelmed. Unfortunately, when this government came, there was the approval to recruit 10,000 policemen every year for several years. Unfortunately, even the very first year was marred in controversy between the IG and the Police Service Commission. And that under the same regime, rather than to intervene and swiftly resolve it, they ended up in court. So even the additional men that were expected have not been injected into the force. And then, of course, a lot of them that are distracted with VIP services. So I think the root cause mainly is the lack of empowerment and motivation of the police, and then the structure. All this need to be, tackled serially. But most importantly, we also need to appreciate that the elites, these elite privileges, in our previous discussion have raised it. The elites seem to equate their own privileges with the interest of their people. But by and large, they are only battling for their own privileges. I don't see how, like I cited, the ethnicity or the religion of the head of any of the security agencies has helped the people he purportedly represented. For instance, the dominance of the security apparatus since the coming of Buhari has not helped the entire North. In fact, two of the heads were from the Northeast, and that remains the headquarters of Boko Haram. So it has not helped anyone. I equally cited the instance of Dasuki. He was the national security advisor under Jonathan. Dasuki was an aspiring sultan. Sultan is the head of the Muslims, but that did not stop him from diverting the funds allegedly, voted for the military to equip them against Boko Haram to fund Jonathan's election. Yet see how opposite they are from the far north, the caliphate headquarters to the creeks. Because why did he do that? Because his interest is best served by the person from the creek. So the elites have no issues with tribe and ethnicity except to use it to divide and rule, so that the masses who are very gullible and largely ignorant will continue to be on each other's throat rather than to face up to them. Because this
Mohammed,
serial misgovernance.
I'm very happy you have finally joined this discussion, because this angle you have taken creates an entirely new consonance to what we have been hearing all along. So what I will now do, please don't go. And I'm seeing many hands. Please, our listeners, just have a little more patience. We'll eventually get to you. Mohammed talked about issues raised by one of our speakers, Otunba. So I would like him to respond to what Mohammed have said. He also talked about one of the issues raised by one of our speakers, Makanjuola. So let's allow them 2 minutes, please, not more than that, to respond to some of the issues that Mohammed have said, and then we'll also get to Marcel. So first, Otunba, you've had Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Dan, again. The problem I have, I always say this to different forums, it seems like I'm on my own when I think about things I will said, that if cause and causes of a problem is not dealt with, we continue just to perambulate, go around and around and making stories and so on. It's a shame to most of us, especially those who are on the ground, that they are yet to find solution to problem of Nigeria, yet to find solution to basic things that Nigerians need. But they find solution that handful Nigerians have access to everything they want. Let's talk about the politicians or people who are in government and so on and so forth. And I'm sorry if I want to repeat this, that I'm not trying to provoke, I'm not trying to make Mr. Mohammed unhappy about my opinion. My opinion will remain my opinion. This is not the opinion of anybody. When I said it is unfortunate, 2021, that we find cows all over the place. And I mentioned places, schools, hospitals, even apart from the going to villages and destroying crops of, in the process, the basic responsibilities of governance have been seriously neglected. And we're not going to end this discussion. We're not going to start finding solutions until when we go deep and deeper to causes. And one of the causes in this problem, in this problem, is issue of poverty. Hello, who want to challenge me that because we left poverty to such a deep level, how do you want to get intelligence support from a young person who has not eaten for the last 3-4 days? And from nowhere, a Boko Haram agent comes in and gives him 1,000 naira. Let us be real here. And who create that situation? Is it not when we have government we people think there's government is in place, but what's the government doing? You have situation when it is an average person. If you want to use the silly statistics that some people want to use, it doesn't bother me. 200 million. Who counted us? And all these 200 million, even 100 million, they're all governments on their own. What's the government of Nigeria doing since 1960? Let's use the latest year of self-governance. The situation is we are not doing what we're supposed to be doing in governance.
All right,
and I generally don't want to care about whether the government, the president was from Southeast, Northeast, or whatever, as long as it delivers. I live in a place where government is central, not only serving the people.
All right, thank you. So in your opinion, the failure
poverty
of governance
is one of the biggest, and people neglect that. The government we have so far neglect that. And then somebody said there are cows all over the place. Is that not the truth?
All right. Sorry, Dr. Mefor has just joined us. He's one of the late discussants. So I apologize to the person I've intended to take over from you. Dr. Mefor, please, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my late entrance. I had some network challenges, which of course is part of the Nigerian life here. Those of you who are outside Nigeria may not understand it, but it's a big issue here. I had to move from location to location to be able to join this meeting. And I thank God I can be seen at least. And I hope I'm also being heard.
Yes, you are hearing you.
Yes, I had a few of the comments because I was late. But I understand the topic, the state of the nation and other issues. And what Otunba said, there is an aspect of what he said that really caught my attention, which is important to me, and I would want to start with that. He said that it doesn't matter to him who the leader is. The president, for example, could be anybody, insofar as he does certain things right. Yes, ordinarily, that's the ideal. But then, the Nigerian situation does not permit him to just think that anybody could just emerge and deliver a fair presidency for all components of Nigeria. Is a very important aspect he needs to re-examine. I will bring on one aspect to prove that he has to really take another look at his position. You see, Southeast, for example, is seriously marginalized. If you check the Constitution of Nigeria, particularly the 1999 Constitution, even as amended, to produce the president of Nigeria, you need 24 states and you need a simple majority. But 24 states particularly requires that indeed 4 regions will have to be working together. That's fine. But Southeast has only 4 states, only 5 states. And don't forget, Nigeria started as a tripod. And as a tripod, Nigeria has come to the point that Southeast, that was one of the tripods, is no longer a factor in anything. Well, for him, coming from the Southwest, he may be fairly taken care of. But for me, it's not good coming from the Southeast. It's very
Dr.
fundamental.
Dr.
Yes.
Mefor, my question to you is this, arising from what Mohammed said. So are you suggesting that the failure to properly include personnel from the Southeast in the security apparatus of the country has contributed directly or indirectly to a general breakdown in that region?
No, but obviously so. It's very clear. You see, listen, Nigeria is a country that is constructed based on colonialism, colonial intervention, and by extension, Nigeria is a nation put together by law. We are not organic. By that I mean, Nigeria did not just emerge as a natural order, as a natural monolith. We are not. We were brought together. 250 ethnic groups were brought together by force of colonialism, and thereafter by the laws they left behind. And since then, if you want to keep the country together, you need to really fashion laws that will make them stay together. Under the military, you can see that efforts are made, even by military, to ensure that North and South Nigeria are brought together. You have a military head of state, he will look for the chief of staff from the other part of the country. That has been the trend. And now you have a country where you have the entire security architecture, ignoring one of the tripods. The Southeast is not represented in the process. So if you have the Southeast completely excluded and their bluff called, and then the people feel endangered and all that, and nothing is done to address it, why will anybody not see that the problem is at least partly coming from the fact that they are excluded from what is going on?
All right,
I'm
thank
not
you.
trying to justify. I'm not trying to justify the violence and whatever, because we have not been able to prove who is responsible for what violence. But
we'll
I
come
think
back to that. We'll
the
come back
politics
to
of
this.
exclusion will have to be addressed if you want to have fairness and equity in the politics.
Okay, well, thank you. Marcel, do you agree with Dr. Mefor that the exclusion of the Southeast from the security apparatus in the country has somehow led to breakdown of security in the region?
Mazi, that is very apparent even to the blind and to the deaf. So apparent. So let us look at it this way. A Security Council meeting is called, and we're discussing the security situation around the country. And then the issue of the Southeast Security Zone comes up. And then there's nobody from that zone to discuss the security situation of that zone. The last time when the governors, the Southeast governors met to activate Ibibuagu, we looked at the heads of security agencies that was at that meeting. None of them is from the Eastern region. It has not happened anywhere. How would someone else speak for you in your own region? Does that make sense? Again, I agree that Buhari is what he is. Remember my submission at first. I agree that Buhari is what he is. The Senate and the House of Reps that have refused to do their own oversight function, because when these names are sent to the National Assembly have a right to return them. When names of ministers are sent to the National Assembly has a right to return those names. If Buhari goes ahead to damn the National Assembly has a right to not approve the budget. So there are instruments of control to a tyrant. So if the constitution has been crafted in such a way that we expect that the president will one day become a tyrant, the constitution has also empowered the National Assembly and the House of Reps to be able to checkmate him. So why are they not doing it? And that has always been my point. Now, we are in this country when people were protesting on the street and they are being shot at. I mean, we all saw it. So Dan, take for instance, you, Mohammed Alibaba, your mother and your sister and your father felt aggrieved, and they decide to join the protest in order to show the government that I am angry at what you have done. And then you at home, you heard that the military has shot them in the head. And then you saw all their pictures all over the social media. What would you do? How would you take it? And then that chapter just ends. Nobody talks about it, no investigation, nobody is held accountable, nothing. And then another set of people, and then another set of people, and then another set of people, and then another. When will it stop? At what point would we say it has to stop? So if a government thought that it has a monopoly of violence and that he can always use violence at any slightest provocation, you are just telling the citizens that they should also get violent.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Makanjuola now, please. Mr. Makanjuola, what do you think? You can unmute yourself.
My take on this contemporary topic of discussion is that why is it that Black people like to pretend as if nothing matters when fundamental proactive actions are supposed to be taken to resolve an issue that have remained unabated for a very long time by professing lasting solution to them? Why is it that Black people like to pretend that what was conceived for you out of bad will, not even good will, can be patched up, can be cosmetically, window dressed, probably because you seem to be politically correct, when it is obvious that the Nigerian concept are broken down. What we are seeing now as insecurity in the country is a pent-up anger of accumulated disappointment. Anger, what you call bottle-up anger, that has now been set loose on society by those who have, from a very long time, have seen themselves as rivals. Nigerians are, when you say co-Nigerians, we are all Nigerians, you are being deceptive. When you say we are all Nigerians, you are being deceptive. All those terms are used to as a form of bamboozling and blackmailing people into their perpetual slavery status. How come do the people who move around with sticks in the 50s, in the 60s, now become insurgent and they are waging low-intensive civil war against other regions of the country, and the government could not do anything? Why is it difficult that a government...
Who are those, sorry, Mr. Makanjuola, who are those that are waging war against the other person?
The Fulani herdsmen, and the Fulani nationalists. The Fulani from the whole of West Africa are the one waging low-intensive civil war against other ethnic nationalities in the country. I remember vividly, during the time of when Obasanjo was president, when Obasanjo decided to appoint the minorities in the Middle Belt into central government position, people from the north, these northern hegemonists, Fudua came out and said that the appointment that Obasanjo made was not from the main north. That he only appointed the minorities, Christians, into his government. That those people are not the true representative of northern part of Nigeria in a government that is supposed to be an amalgam of regional balancing. So that we are having insecurity now, especially in the Middle Belt and part of the South, was a crisis that was engineered by the oligarchy themselves, because the bulk of the fighters they brought in to come and stop Jonathan from being re-elected are those ones that have now distributed themselves all across the 4 geopolitical goals in the country, and they are now like fighting very hard to make sure that they have access to people's land. But well, my own solution is this.
Okay, let's we still sorry, Mr. Makanjuola, we still come back. We'll come back to the solutions in the next 10 minutes. I would like Dr. Onwuasoanya. We invited him to this discussion, but by the time we got him to confirm, We've already sent out the link. I believe he's here now, Dr. Onwuasoanya, and then I think Fcc Jones, no, Dr. Onwuasoanya and Mohammed will still, I would like you to respond to this issue that Mr. Makanjuola have just raised, because he has now introduced another angle about the so-called foreign enhancement to the discussion. So please, Dr. Onwuasoanya and Mr. Alibaba Mohammed, I would like them to respond to that.
Okay, Dr. Onwuasoanya on the line.
Go ahead.
Okay. First and foremost, I don't know, it's funny what he said, because I don't know if some of these reflections are some of the things I'm worried about Nigeria, stereotyping. I particularly was kidnapped, which you know, which a lot of people know, and it wasn't Fulani herdsmen that kidnapped me and kept me for 10 days in the bush. We are trying to stereotype. The criminals are making every effort to stereotype crime, and we are buying to it, and I don't accept that completely. So there's crime in the land, and there's insecurity. And this insecurity, someone just said, which I accept too, is mainly born out of poverty. And this poverty, as I know, is worse in the southeast and south side presently because of the dwindling revenue. Today, when you buy a bag of rice for 28,000 naira, you're probably empowering somebody who is living in Sokoto or Niger State or Katsina State, because we are not producing anything to eat. The last time I spoke about Nigerian insecurity, the view I had is the same view I'm still having now. That is that there is so much insecurity in the southeast presently because there is poverty. And this poverty is born out of the fact that we've been depending so much for so long on money circulating at the federal level. There has not been any form of production going on in the southeast for a very long time. There has been systemic neglect of the indigenous sources of living. Farming is almost at zero, except in some parts of Ebonyi State and the northern part of Kano State. And the revenues from the center we've been sharing, especially from oil, is almost not there again. So it's not surprising that it's happening. And then number two, like this person said, which I just said now, is about the stereotyping. I don't know why we stereotype crime. This issue of insecurity has been brewing. People are just holding on to it now to come up. In fact, I had somebody say something now, Dr. Mefor, when he said that the entire region of the southeast, he has been mistaking southeast for eastern zone of old. And that it worries me, because when this thing comes from a section of the eastern region, it brings up some level of discontent. When some person starts against a position and you feel that it doesn't belong to the eastern zone, unless when it comes to the southeast, then I worry. Because if we must move together, if we must fight the issues of, if we must talk about Nigeria, if we must have something on southeast extraction, which you acknowledge, we need at least 4 zones. And if we can't acknowledge that the people from the eastern region, includes those from the south-south, save probably 2 states, and those from the southeast, then you'll be creating a problem that's difficult to solve. So when the security apparatus of Nigeria is structured, and somebody in the southeast, in south-south, has we have 4. I mean, like in the Nigerian defense, we have 4, and the south has 2, the south-north has 2, and one come from the south-south, especially an Igbo-speaking part of South, and you just remove it completely. Then later, when you come to them and say you want to work together, it becomes difficult to achieve that, because you already secluded that person and his people. This person believes that he's part of you, and you're telling him, oh, I'm from the eastern, I'm from the southeast, and the southeast used to be one of the 3 pods, and this person is not part of the 3 pod. So basically, what I have to respond to this is that I don't agree in any way that the cause of this thing is mainly the issue of balancing of security architecture. But one thing I have to point out is that in this security architecture too, I don't know why the governors are not insisting that there should be some representative of this thing, like in the commissioners of police in the south. If you look at the structure of the commissioners of police in the southeast, you'll be worried. The entire southeast as presently constituted, I don't think there's one single Igbo man that's the commissioner of police, and that doesn't need. I don't think it needs just the president to do that, because some of these governors sometimes even ask for the commissioners they get. So the issue of poverty must be addressed. We must start looking at poverty. Somebody who is hungry will listen to anything you say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't think Alibaba is here. I had intended him to make his point at this discussion. So please, I shouldn't be the only person asking question. I think all our guests have now, the lead discussants have given two contributions now. So let's take a question from the audience now, or contribution. Please don't make it not more than 2 minutes. Let's start from Kasmia Chinon. So please, Kasmia Wafo, your name is on top. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, Dan. I've made only one contribution, so let that be noted.
Okay. Once you ask this question, then we come to you, Doctor. Yeah. Kasmia.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thanks the guests and the participants. I think our major problem, if I ask my question, is Ali has gone. I was asking about the issue of cow he raised. The person that raised the issue of cow is not saying that the cow have not been moving before this government. But what he's saying is that the audacity of the herdsmen to harass the entire Nigeria has not been this brutal in the other regimes. Why is it this brutal under Buhari regime? That's the question I want to ask him, but he's not here. So moving ahead, I will say that on the issue, the last speaker was talking about the issue of South. I don't think he understood exactly the point, and Dr. Donye, what Mefor was saying. Dr. Mefor was saying, we are not saying that because the appointment did not include any Southeasterner. There are many security appointments we're talking about. We have the issues of we have the customs, we have the immigration, we have the civil defense, we have a lot of security agencies. None is headed by a Southeasterner. None. So when Elombah was appointed as the CDS, yes, he's a South, but of an Igbo. I know Haneze sent him a congratulatory letter. So we're not discriminating against Elombah appointment. We're talking about the general appointment of security apparatus, where the Southeast is not included in one, is very appalling. It's not only appalling, it's very annoying. And when you talk about the present security challenges we have in the country, when the leader, when the commander-in-chief, by his body language, is supporting a particular terrorizing section of the country, then you don't tell me that other people should fold their hands and wash it. So the entire problem borders on the president, the mentality of the president, the body language of the president, his political will to address security challenges in Nigeria. He is zero, poorly performing in terms of addressing the security situation. If he was able to attack, I mean, be a kind of hold his people together. If you look at the level where this is started, from the Boko Haram release of some people say that have been repented, those guys moved into herdsmen, moved into bandits. They don't even call them terrorists, they call them bandits, insurgents, misguided fellows. But if you come to other regions, you will now go there to shoot them with the AK-47 and DPMG. My friend, it cannot work. You must be fair to all regions. If you are clamping on insecurity in any region, it should be seen to be spread across the entire region. The way you pick some regions to favor and protect, and then pick some regions to attack, you are just starting the war that you cannot finish. You're just starting the war that you cannot finish. So all the same, I won't say anything about poverty. Poverty has been there. Poverty has been there from Buhari, from Goodluck Jonathan to Obasanjo. It is not just poverty, it is the ability of the president to lead, to give order, to give instructions, to command. Obasanjo, nobody tried this nonsense.
Group Captain Mwafo, we will come back to you, yes, especially when we want to talk about the solution. So let's, before we go to Dr. Mefor, please, Sir Augustine Ike has been raising up his hand for a while. So let's not continue ignoring him. Then we go to Dr. Mefor. Sir Augustine Ike, please, are you able to unmute yourself? Just 2 minutes, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a different view of these insecurity issue. Hello?
Yeah, go on.
I have a different view on this insecurity issue. In as much as I agree with most of the discussants on the overflogged attempt to be too ethnic conscious by our elected leaders. I also believe that as it is now, any other attempt to force in the security, like the Imo State governor did, will lead to a very brutal end. Because I can confidently say that the situation we are now, that our solution requires security, but not armed security. Dan, you live in London, right? And I want to bet that maybe for the past 6 months, you have not seen gun. You have not seen a police officer carrying gun. Nigerian security must understand that security supersedes bearing of arms. Okay? They said intelligent gathering, fine, it's one of them. But security have superseded bearing of arms. There is a need for us to redesign our security. But before then, there is something I believe that is very pressing. That which is very pressing is what you are doing now. We need the time that Jonathan held a national confab, there was no need for it. I want it to be that one of the resolutions of this TV program is that we need an emergency national confab. This is time we have issues, need them at the board. Because I want to be that functional, but it exceeded our elastic limits. We need to go back to drawing board.
That's a very fair point, if you ask me. Now is the time to convene the national conference, because now that it is needed. Dr. Mefor, do you agree with the last two submissions? If you still if you took note, what do you want to say? Jonathan's confab was not necessary, but it is now necessary according to the last speaker. What do you think?
Well, I think that the last speaker made a very fundamental point that we need to revisit the conference. But for me, it's not just the conference, it is the conferences. We have 3 conference reports. Jonathan's report is just one. There are we have 2 others before his. We don't need a fresh conference. You mess up everything. If the president is interested in restructuring Nigeria, all he needs to do is to set up a technical committee to review the 3 conferences and tease out the essential details, find their sets of commonalities, and arrive at a synthesis that can be implemented. But there is a problem. Our president does not believe in restructuring for obvious reasons. The president of Nigeria does not believe in restructuring because he is not really inclined to nationalism. He is pressing home, confirming, reaffirming, reinforcing the advantage enjoyed by his region. This is my position, and I stand to be corrected. I've said this everywhere. The president does not want, he doesn't really want to restructure. And he said that much even here and there. What he is doing by his policies is pressing home the advantage of the northern divide of the country. That's the truth. And I'll give you one clear example here. In the wee months of the Jonathan presidency, he set up a committee on the headers-farmers conflict, how to bring that to a logical conclusion in terms of finding a lasting solution. He made, made Suswan, Governor of Benue then, the chairman of that committee. They were working, then the election of 2015 held, they couldn't conclude their work. Ask this government what happened to the Suswan report. They didn't even receive it. And then that brings us to something. Do you really blame Buhari for all these things? I don't. Buhari never came in based on restructuring. Buhari does not need restructuring. Buhari has never told you he wanted restructuring. He never did. I blame Jonathan. I blame Obasanjo. I blame the two for the problem of Nigeria and for the problem of Southern Nigeria particularly. That's the truth. You know, we keep massaging things. We don't want to address issues the way they are. Jonathan called the 2014 confab. He had 1 whole year to implement it. In his confab report, you know, were contained well over 600 recommendations. Only about 100 and something of them required constitutional amendment or National Assembly intervention. The rest, more than 70% of the recommendations could be addressed administratively. Did Jonathan address one? So why do we blame Buhari, who never wanted restructuring, to restructure? So I don't blame him if he doesn't restructure. But if I were him, I would restructure, and I will tell you why in a nutshell. I would restructure because that would make him the true founding father of Nigeria. I dare Buhari to restructure. If he restructures, he will be better than Jonathan, he will be better than Obasanjo, he will be better than all of them put together. But if he does not restructure, he will end in the same dustbin of history as the rest of the presidents of Nigeria before him. That's the truth.
All right.
Let's call things by their proper names.
All right. We thank you very much. We don't have. We'll soon go back to all our late discussants to give their comments from what we have had so far. But please, let's take this question from Monday before we get to that, please. Monday, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, people. My name is Dr. Monday Oshokbo. I live in California. So I came into this meeting a bit late. But what I saw on the WhatsApp group where the meeting was posted is that we are looking at IPOB, Oduduwa nations, and insecurity in Nigeria. So based on that, I just want to make a few comments because it is not news that the security in Nigeria is really bad right now, and we cannot really separate the poor insecurity situation in Nigeria from the president. The reason a lot of the speakers have said a lot of those reasons, but there are some statements that the president has made at different times and some body languages in his response to some of allegations on his ministers, his workers, employees, and also his style of appointment in security and other things. For example, immediately after the 2015 election, the president made a statement about favoring 95 to the 5 who did not give him a vote. I would have thought that a president once elected becomes the president of all and not a sectional president. Even if you want to be a sectional president, there is no point making such a statement of divide where some people are seen as though they did not, because they did not vote for you, they now become second citizen in the land where, in their father's land. That is point number one. Then point number two, we saw very recently, as a matter of fact, Dr. Patami has been on the news for some very dangerous statement he made when he was about 32 years. And the presidency ought to have responded such that the people will feel they have some level of trust in the government once again. But instead, what did they do? They said that he made the statement when he was young. You see, and that is not true. Again, making Nigerians look like fools. That guy was 32 as at when he made the statement. Of course, at 32, you're not a kid. And we are facing serious problem of insurgency in the country. And we have someone who has made such a statement in government, and the presidency is shielding him. Okay, so and issues of appointments, we know that some of those appointments are not backed by the Constitution, even though the president is allowed to appoint people using his executive powers. It is sensitive for any president who believes in national unity to have diverse appointments. It is because he has not made appointments that are diverse, then we see people agitating that, oh, this is supposed to be a multi-ethnic country. Why do we have all the appointment coming from the north? Is it that we don't have people from other parts of the country that can do these jobs? So you find out that there are issues that the president is not addressing the way he ought to. His body language keeps making people feel that he is, in fact, part and parcel of some of the issues that are going on in Nigeria. How can a president, okay, during the Obasanjo regime, in Lagos, there was OPC issue. There was OPC issue. OPC was rioting and killing people. What did Obasanjo say? Obasanjo said, shoot aside. Obasanjo, remember, is from the Yoruba ethnic group. You do not, you cannot say because the Northern Fulanis are from your ethnic background, then you cannot come out to rebuke their actions and make proper arrests and make sure trials are conducted in the court and people go to jail. We saw how some of those Boko Haram were arrested and they were later.
All right. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you very much. We may come back to you before we conclude, but that time is now moving away from us. So let's go back to our lead discussants. We have had contributions from Monday now, and from also some of our listeners, and from other lead discussants. Let's start from Otunba, and then one by one, we hear all of you. So far, what have we been able to take from this discussion tonight, and where do we go from here? Otunba, let's start from you, please.
Thank you again very much, Dan. And I also want to say thank you to everybody that so far contributed to this discussion of tonight. Again, I'm sorry, I don't want to be repetitive because I realize that some people are more versed in education than we probably am. I only have a degree in law and political science, and I don't want to start saying that should be an hindrance for me to understand. And also, I have a problem. The problem I have is every time I make reference to this, some people like it, some people do not like it. I've been in a country, a civilized country, let me put it that way, for the last 51 years. And I can feel how governance have impacted in my life. And at the age of 74, that I feel at home that basic things are given to me without using any connection. So when I now want to translate that or ask myself, when I left Nigeria in 1970, believing that might be get a better education outside the country, luckily I got it. But we're not dealing with the causes. We're not talking about the causes. The causes are all majorly is issue of poverty, bad governance. Now, and I believe the president has advisors. How can all the advisors, people say this talk to stop at his desk? Why will our president 2021 having problem of governing? He's not alone. Most of the policies that have been designed, arranged, and so on are from some of the advisors who are highly educated. But the problem is we do not want to be virtual. We don't want to be honest with ourselves. The point I'm making is poverty is the main cause of our problem. And we have a government or governments, both local, states and federal, not dealing with it. You and I should be fighting for, we should stand up and talk about it. Look at our children, answers. They thought enough is enough. They stood up and say, we're going to start arguing. The issue of policing. In the UK, there are about 40 different levels, layers for policing. We agree it has to be central. Why do we agree to everything that centrality of policies will impact, will affect governance in Southeast and Southwest? And when I alluded to, I don't really say, why should I start saying president must be from this and from that? If we have a good governance, if we implement some of the policies we have in place, we should be talking about something else. We should be talking about how soon are we going to go to moon. But when you look at the depth of corruption that is present in our polity, in our country, it is damning. It is very, very bad.
Thank you.
I think romancing, somebody used that word, romancing the situation in such a way, in that manner, is not going to help us. We need to be real. We need to be real and start talking about bad governance. And bad governance is, you and I are probably contributing to it because we're not standing up to fight corruption.
Thank you.
Most of the money meant for police, who are the people stealing them? Isn't that the police, the IGP and all that kind of thing? Can we remember that billions of,
thank you.
Yeah,
let's take
was stolen by Tafa?
Okay, let's
and some other people.
Otunba, thank you very much. Okay, Otunba, let's hear from Mohammed Alibaba next. Oh, that's fine.
So, I mean, I agree. But I'm glad that Otunba actually also traced the genesis, because my point is, so long as we don't go to the roots of these problems, we will never get solution if we are merely focusing on the symptoms. For instance, I'm back to this issue of the cows. Consistently, since I can remember, everyone should check the budget for agriculture. How much has ever been dedicated to the livestock sector? Every year, the budget of humongous amounts of money for subsidized fertilizer, subsidized input, rural access road, dams, irrigation scheme for crop agriculture. But this other aspect of agriculture has been totally neglected. There is no human being that doesn't like comfort in his life. There is no way, if these herders have, what they call a provision of food and water in a grazing reserve, they will move. No human being wants to suffer himself. So evidently, the root cause is that they have been neglected and they have been left to their own design. Part of the blame I trace to the PRP era, in the Second Republic, because PRP was the party that abolished cattle tax. And cattle tax was the basis, the only connection that those herders had with the government, because since the government would tax them, they were interested on where they stay and some part of their welfare. But since then, these people have been left to their own design in the bush. There is no formal governmental connection with them, so nobody knew what was happening. And the same way that the young ones have abandoned crop production and left it to the old men and the children, that is how even herding has been left to old men who are now tired, and the children cannot control, and then hence this forest. And then, of course, the collapse of governmental institutions, the cattle routes, the grazing reserve have been taken over by the top echelons of the society, and then they've been left to their own designs. The ancient system they knew is what they've been left to do. So that is what compares them. So if we truly, and unfortunately, when the issue of National Livestock Program and the Ruga came, people rose in stout opposition, largely out of sentiments.
Mr. Mohammed, let me ask you this.
Because I'm
Mr. Mohammed, let me ask you this question, please.
Yeah.
The violence now between herdsmen, or that is attributed to herdsmen in some areas, do we have those type of violence when Olusegun Obasanjo, for example, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, were in government, so that we'll situate it in this proper context? What do you think?
Of course, they have always been there. I'm involved in both sides of the family, but this violence is exacerbated by, 1, climate change, 2, population explosion, 3, increasing interest in agriculture. So people who have taken over some of the grazing routes, they've taken over the grazing reserves. And then, of course, like I told you, due to neglect, these people have to move. They have to fend for their cattle. They have always been there.
Are you able to give us, I'm very, very interested in this subject. Are you able to give us examples of grazing reserves that the herdsmen were formerly using? I'm not putting you on the spot if you don't mind, but if you don't know, we can.
No, you see,
But I just want to know.
listen, only 3 days ago. No, I agree with you. 3 days ago or 4 days ago, I'm part of those championing the establishment of Hay and Fodder Association. When we went to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, we were told there are 415 designated grazing reserves, mainly in the north, in this country, and 114 of them are gazetted. So it's the government that have abandoned. If they had concentrated, in fact, part of the northern agricultural vision of Sardauna is that no live cow should pass Mokwa, and that's why we have that Mokwa Ranch. The Mokwa Ranch was established by the Germans in the 50s. There's even a helipad there. There is a state-of-the-art abattoir there. In fact, even ABU veterinarians used to come there for practice. All these have been abandoned. So collapse of governmental institutions are at the roots. Like I said, if we go to the root, we'll find these solutions. Now, the Niger State government and a few governments are already revitalizing those grazing reserves, and they are available. For instance, like I was saying, the neglect of livestock. On the average, it is reported that the average cow in Europe is entitled to $5 subsidy or £5. Now, there is hardly any such contribution, but humongous amounts are dedicated to the agricultural sector, and most of them is for, contract for fertilizer or seeds or agri inputs. So these are the roots, and so long as we don't address the roots, by the time this, grazing reserves are rehabilitated, it's an opportunity. Just this evening, I was reviewing the economics of production, what it costs to produce a hectare, and the benefits that will be, in fact, on the average, if we are not careful, by the time that value chain is fully fixed, I tell you, we have problem of food scarcity, because people will be migrating to the production of grass for cattle because of the economics of returns. So these are things we focus on and at the roots. But most importantly, part of this insecurity, I'm convinced, is traceable to that melee of corruption. My feeling is that the military has never had it so good since they lost power in 1999. So, and the humongous kind of resources they have been cornered. Have we not been reading about mutiny by ordinary soldiers? Even ordinary allowances that these our gallant soldiers on the battlefront are supposed to receive doesn't get to them. Yet trillions have already been dedicated to that. And of course, listening to the government, you see how the top echelon are acquiring properties and whatever all over the place. So corruption is at the root of some of these issues. So like I said, once we cannot face up to the roots and we continue to harp on sentiments, then we won't get there. And then
I always appreciate your perspective, Mr. Mohammed, and we can listen to you all day. I find it very, very interesting listening to this angle, but I'm afraid we have to move forward so that other contributors will make their own contribution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Fcc Jones.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Dan. I think we are all mostly in agreement about the fact that the major cause of insecurity in Nigeria is failure of the political class to give us good governance. Because when we talk about corruption, when we talk about poverty, when we talk about abandonment of the police force, and when we talk about restructuring, nobody will be talking about restructuring if everybody is given a good sense of belonging. If people at various levels of government use the resources of the people to work for the people, and there is infrastructure, there is good electricity, there are jobs for people to work, and everyone wakes up from his house in the morning and is sure that if he looks for a job and he's capable of doing a job, he will get one. Nobody will be talking about the political structure in the country. But because there is a failure of governance, because our political class has failed us, we continue to go into explore these options that may not be easily practicable because like Dr. Mefor said, he said that Buhari will be putting his name, writing his name in gold if he is able to achieve restructuring within the 2 years he has left to be in power. But I do not see how practicable that is within 2 years because restructuring is not something that comes with a blow or with merely wishing it, because before he can restructure, there needs to be a bill to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly needs to go around the country maybe for a referendum or whatever other processes are required, procedures are required before the restructuring happens. So it's not something that can happen within Buhari's tenure, I think. For me, I think some of the immediate actions that need to be taken to ensure that or to reduce the spate of insecurity in the country at the moment is for the federal government, those at the helm at the federal government, to pursue policies that give every Nigerian, no matter where they come from, no matter their religion, no matter their tribe, a sense of belonging, a sense of nationhood. Where I'm an Igbo man, I understand that the federal government is not meant for the Fulani. Where even if I am Fulani, I do not see the Igbo man as being a meddlesome interloper in what happens or what concerns Nigeria. Jobs should be created for the Nigerian youths. Monies appropriated for projects should be transparently applied to those projects. For instance, in the last 1 year since the COVID-19 pandemic, trillions of billions of naira have been budgeted, have been appropriated, or have been approved as loans for small-scale businesses, as a stimulus package to people who are running businesses or to families. For instance, for some of you who live in the United States of America, one of the biggest economic packages in the history of the United States of America came within this period of the COVID-19 pandemic. Where about $1.9 trillion was voted to help families and businesses and citizens of the United States of America manage the problems arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. So you cannot watch or abandon citizens to their fate without guidance, without leadership, and expect them to be happy. I do not think there is any reasonable Nigerian who likes what is happening in the country in the area of insecurity. But a lot of people are just too helpless that they cannot but support or give tacit support or just keep quiet and say, man, if the country wants to go to blazes, let it go, because they are tired. Their leaders are not giving them good reasons to continue to believe in Nigeria. Some of those who are giving tacit support through silence or even through what they say to these people who are causing trouble across the country are not doing that because they want the country to burn, but because they have been pushed to a point where they are helpless, where they cannot do any other thing but to say, leave everything to fate, whatever happens. So these are, provide employment for the youth, show a sense of transparency in the running of government. Some of our political leaders steal our money and rub it on our faces.
All right, we will.
Obvious that they are richer than us, their children squander our wealth, while people who are a lot more talented, who are a lot more educated, live in poverty. That's annoying enough. So some of these things are things that need to be handled with a sense of emergency. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We'll still, the discussion continues. Next, before we take further comments from our listeners, let's finish with our lead discussants, Mr. Makanjuola.
Now, we have gotten to the position where we have to talk about the solution to how this unending crisis and insecurity. From our own hand, we the Yorubas have concluded that we are opting out of Nigeria. No amount of conferences and seminars and programs and whatever can bring us back. There is an existing resolution from the part of the Southwest. If you can observe, there have been series of rallies going on now within the Yoruba nation, home and abroad, people insisting that we want a sovereign Yoruba nation. We have discovered that it is better for us to resolve our own problems as a nationality. That after all, our forebears never knew Nigeria, and they are where they've been living before the white man came. From 1960 till when Buhari became president, there have not been any attempt by any other ethnic group in Yoruba territory to come and attack our people and kill us in the farm and unleash poverty scourge on our people. So the solution, from our own perspective, is that we Yorubas are forging ahead, demanding for a United Nations supervised referendum, that we don't want anything to do with any part of Nigeria anymore. It's not a matter of cosmetic pretension that we can make Nigeria work. We don't want next sloganeering or where we descend to the level of near academic. We have become practical and we are determined to tell the whole world that if you look at the members of the United Nations, there are countries in UN which land, which territory and population is not as vast as the Yoruba people. So we have resolved that it is better we stay on our own. If any northern love a Yoruba man so much, they can extend visas among themselves and pay themselves regular visits. It has something to do with the Yoruba consciousness and our quest for us to be free. We cannot continue to pretend and bury our head in the ostrich. We cannot pretend and bury our head in the ostrich. Whether the political class like it or not, whether they are foreign friends, who are their backers, who have allowed massive corruption practices to have lingered on for so many years, has nothing to do with our resolution. Whether if you are talking about restructuring, the government of Nigeria, right from the announcement of June 12, had gotten the opportunity to restructure Nigeria. But we Yoruba have resolved by 2014, the reason that brought us together, coincidentally by accident of history, have expired. We don't want anybody to come and preach unity to us. We don't want anybody to come and tell us reform. We don't want any kind of restructuring. We don't want police reform. We don't want anything. We want our space. We want our geographical space for us to stay at a sovereign state. With over 70 million population when abroad, we can function very well. We can secure ourselves. Our language are the same. Our territory are the same. Our norms and values, our worldview, our humanity are the same. So if those who love Nigeria so much, with their quest for reforms and melodrama, pretension and deceit, can go ahead speaking grammar and speaking whatever. We Yoruba have resolved that we can defend ourselves, we can protect ourselves, we can secure ourselves, we can develop ourselves, we can modernize ourselves. That is the best way we want to go. Thank you very much.
We thank you. Please, Marcel, before we come back to you, can we listen to, and Dr. Mefor, please don't go. Don't go, please. Can we listen to Otunba to find his opinion on this idea of a Yoruba nation?
Thank you very much, Dan. Again, for me, I want to subscribe to the last speaker. And on the basis of the facts before all of us, some of us, especially the one or two discussants, alluded to issue of the 2014 National Conference. I happened to be in Nigeria then, that's about 7 years ago. And I always say to my friends and family, it might be amazing, that I got stuck there for 10 months thinking things are going to work out. And today I feel like I was in prison for 10 years. It was terrible for me. And like I said, the problem I have is because I've seen other crime, I've seen other opportunities, I've seen governance in other part of the world. Yes, if it's taken us 60 years, and it's also a shame that the people that took over from the forefathers, we are unable to come together. And that's why at my initial presentation, I suggested that most of us need to go back to the lab. We need to go back to take our mindset to the lab, that even if our forefathers made some mistakes, how much efforts have we put together to fix this problem? We have not. The record is there. We only like to be going round and round and round because some of us want to benefit from these corrupt settings. So if Yoruba people come around and say, we have we have good reasons to know, you know what, we cannot continue, especially when we're talking about the Constitution of 1999, that it has now been found out, you are a legal person like me, that we found out that this Constitution was put together fraudulently. And I remember that there are two major actors that put this Constitution, Professor Onwuasoanya and Williams. They now come out to say sorry to the whole country, that we made a mistake, and the mistake we made was to have made the central government so powerful. That did not help, that did not help because of good governance in Nigeria. But the point I'm making now is, if Yoruba people now say, enough is enough, how can we have so many highly intelligent people? And I'm not trying to restrict it to any part of the country. Nothing, I've got many intelligent people, Southeast, South, or whatever. But if we cannot continue to be in a contraption that we seems to be retarded that we cannot fix. So if Yoruba people say we want to go, then I don't think they're asking for too much. And especially, and I think, because here we have a situation where Yoruba people have put in a legal arrangement to divorce themselves.
All right.
So discontinue with that contracted 1999 constitution.
All right.
The first majority is there. We have waited. There wasn't any challenge. And as far as I'm concerned, that is done. Yeah, lawyer done. We did not challenge that. And then the second verse is now creating awareness, because the last part of this application would be to ask for United Nations to carry it a referendum. Also, believing is they just want to make trouble for others.
All right.
How many years have everybody saying, let us restructure, let us restructure? They did not. Because
Dr. Mefor, okay, thank you, Otunba, please. Sorry. Dr. Mefor, do you think that restructuring is now too late, that it's time for Oduduwa, Biafra, and some of these nationalist agitations?
I am for a fully restructured Nigeria. That is where I stand. I think it's the best for everybody. Fully restructured Nigeria. Let me summarize what I mean by fully restructured Nigeria. Going back to the Nigeria that our founding fathers agreed to with Britain in 1957, Constitutional Conference, 1959, and captured in the Independence Constitution and perfected in 1963 Republican Constitution. That is what I want, personally. We can dismember Nigeria. I don't have no problem with that. If Biafra, I am an Igbo man. I am a Biafran, geographically. Every Igbo man is a Biafran. It doesn't matter what you think or feel. You're a Biafran. I don't mind Biafra, but I don't want Biafran by design. I want Biafra by default. I want Biafra that is imposed. That means Biafra has become inevitable because restructured Nigeria has failed. That was the challenge Nnamdi Kanu gave me. I met Nnamdi Kanu in Umuahia. He told me that restructuring Nigeria was not possible. That under a Fulani hegemony, that restructuring Nigeria was not possible.
Hello.
And I think that is the issue. If restructuring Nigeria is not possible, then breaking Nigeria becomes inevitable. It's very simple. You know, as an Igbo man, I cannot survive in a polity where I am enslaved by my culture, by my orientation, by my life. You know, it's not possible for me to live in a country where I have no freedom. I am a Republican by orientation, by nature, by culture, by birth. Now, look at my final submission. Having said all this, I listened to our discussants, my co-discussants. They keep talking about corruption, poverty, and all this. That is not the issue. Let them know that the problem of Nigeria is structure. The structure of Nigeria is what has produced corruption. Is the structure of Nigeria that has produced poverty. We didn't have poverty in the 60s when the Southwest and Southeast were the fastest growing economies in the world. It's because the structure allowed it. So if you restructure Nigeria to restore Nigeria to where we were before the war, Nigeria will get back again. I still believe it's better for everybody to get back together. If the Yorubas want to go, it's up to them. If the Igbos want to go, it's up to them. But if I have a vote, I'll vote against it. I will vote for dismemberment of Nigeria only on one condition, that restructuring is not possible, it's not allowed. The last line, before you cut me off. See, I believe that, look, Nigeria is a project that is beyond Nigerians. Africans want to see Nigeria work. What we need is to be left alone to sort out our problems. The Fulani headsmen in Nigeria that we have lived with have brought in their colleagues. They have kings from all over Africa, from Timbuktu, from Tuaregs, from Maghreb, from all over Africa, and they brought them in here as mercenaries. So when my brother, I can't remember his name now, was talking about grazing routes, he's not addressing the issue.
Okay.
We never had problems. Look, listen, Dan, just 1 second about this.
Okay.
I want to address what my friend said. I can't remember his name now.
Mr. Mohammed.
He said, you said?
Mr. Alibaba Mohammed.
Alibaba Mohammed, said there is a problem of grazing routes. No, it's a the problems we're facing on a Fulani headsmen and the farmers in Nigeria, they are threefold. Let me tell you, the land mass of Nigeria, 70% of the land mass of Nigeria is in the north. Why are they pushing south? Why can't they establish, ranches in the north where they have the land? Water? Do you know there is a policy that is going on now that is called recharging the Lake Chad? The Lake Chad lake is being recharged. That means water is being pumped into it from other sources. If you can pump water into Lake Chad, why can't you provide irrigation for ranching all over the north? Because there is no land anywhere in the southeast, for example. You are from Anambra, I'm from Anambra myself, and they know it. So why are they insisting on allowing their cattle to graze where they may? They know what they are doing. It's not about grazing. It is about expansionism. It is about taking over lands. That is what our people are. That's what our people are resisting. That is what the insecurity is about. That is what will continue until they are ready to address the basic realities of Nigeria. The Nigerian nation state is built on falsehood. Britain is one of our major problems. Britain must offer the IPOB and other Biafran agitators what they call asylum. Britain is not what IPOB needs. It's not what Biafran agitators need. What they need is restructuring in Nigeria or a referendum. You either restructure Nigeria or you give the Southeast referendum. And tell my brother Adigun that lives in another country. He said he found Nigeria a contraption after staying here. He's staying in another country built by men like him. Tell him I challenge him to return to Nigeria and let us build this country together. Let us dismember Nigeria. He should lead from the front. If he wants dismemberment of Nigeria, he must return to this country and let us agree to dismember or remember Nigeria. If we don't do that, this country will collapse with him not even having a leeway to see his father's land.
That's
Let's face reality.
That's a very deep thought. Before we finally take your final submission, before we go, let's take these hands raised up and then we start from Marcel. Please, T.O., go ahead.
Yes, thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think one thing, I mean, Nigeria is evident to everybody that the country is disorganized. It's showing all the signs of a failed state. And everybody gravitates towards a solution, which I think has not been thought through. And this is going back to restructuring and back to some kind of regional regional setup equivalent to what we had in '66. Now, I think that's a dream, and we all hope it comes through. As an Igbo man, I would like Biafra. As a Yoruba man, you want Oduduwa Republic. But Nigeria has matured or progressed or advanced beyond very simplistic divisions and going back to that default 1966 setup. I think even now, if you wanted to break to restructure, and many people see restructuring as a regional basis, maybe going back to a 4 region or maybe 6 based on the geopolitical zones. Some other people will say it should be 8, a middle belt should be included, so you have 8 or 9 geopolitical zones. The thing I find out is that it seems like it's the Yoruba and the Igbo people who seem to be pushing these agitations for restructuring and then defaulting back to the regional structure that nobody has really thought through. Like when you have a regional structure, how is it going to work? Is the East going to have a capital in Enugu in charge of the whole Eastern region? Is Ibadan going to be the capital of the Midwest? So, you know, we need to think these things through, and maybe we need to start. The first things I think we need to do is to get more tribal nationalities into the equation. I think the Ijaw people are up in arms about what they really want. It seems like the Kanuri people are the same. Well, you need to get the nationalities, the spokesmen for the other tribes, the Biram, the
All right, thank you.
And so I think that's a missing equation that we need to get into. And nobody can discount, I'm sorry, but I need to get this in, poor governance. Many of these issues, the problem, I mean, we all dream for a republic, but I think poor governance, and I think as we wait for maybe Nigeria to keep on going down this road and a violent disruption, we need to start putting things in place to steer this affairs of the state, like with the coming elections. Either no elections hold, or we make sure that the right people get into place. If you get the right person in place and you enforce the laws, it's not rocket science. So I think we need to start working on forming groups with tangible objectives or clear-cut objectives. Maybe a group for elections to make sure we get the right people in place, or, you know, poor governance. What exactly is the poor governance about? Is it that Fulani herdsmen have not been arrested? Is it that there's insecurity? We need state police. So we need to be very specific as opposed to just griping like a woman that doesn't know what she wants to do or what the problem is. So I rest on that note, and I thank everybody for joining in.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your submissions. Mr. Marcel, can we get back to you now? You can also use this submission to make a concluding comment, because we may not be able to come back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, let's make this clear. Poverty is not our problem. So anybody thinking poverty is our problem should just take it out. Nigerians have the capability to raise, develop, build, and make money. So poverty is not our problem. So let's keep that out. Secondly, cow business is a private business. Okay, so waiting for government to come and build ranch for you is, to me, either you are not ready to do business, or, and I also think that private people should probably get into the cow business, innovate that business, and let's stop it. I have been a victim of a cow aggression right there in Abuja. In my house, the guy took the cow right into my compound. I have not fenced them. The little vegetables I planted, the cows ate it up. And when I came to talk to him, the next thing he pulls off a knife. You know, I had to restrain myself and, you know, play mature, and then he left. And then I had to raise money to fence my house immediately. So imagine what is happening to all other places. So if I have a property and somebody comes in, the person is the aggressor, okay? It violates my right to me having my place. And the government has not addressed that issue. They keep calling it farmers' headers conflict. It's because it's favoring one group who's probably in power, but that issue needs to be addressed. Now, someone that says that Buhari cannot restructure this country in 2 years is a liar. And I want to ask the person, how long does it take for the Senate to activate the doctrine of necessity? If you want to restructure this country, you simply speak to the governors. The governors, as we speak now, have the direct control of all the State House of Assembly, okay? And they could come and have a consensus agreement, and restructuring will happen in less than 6 months. These are just processes. Nobody dies about it. But the reason why they will not restructure is probably because they are currently enjoying leverage on the existing structure. It favors a particular group of people, and they will be the one that will shut down any move to restructure. So when you shut down move to restructure, people are feeling you're caging them. Okay, people want to innovate, people want to create. I cannot, in my own zone now, I cannot raise money abroad and come to do electricity. I cannot. I have to go to Abuja to get permission, and then if I have to connect it to national grid. How will development happen? Do you understand? I cannot call my friends together in London and say raise $1 billion to come and do some project, maybe real project or whatever. I cannot. So the current constitution is our biggest problem. And anybody saying he wants to move out, let me be honest to you. Nigeria does not have anything like referendum. So there is only two ways. Either the leadership of the country follow the line of the doctrine of necessity, get themselves together and learn of the problem, or the continual agitation, continual insecurity will plummet to a point where even the leaders themselves will not be able to move around. If we trace the genesis of IPOB, Oduduwa, ESN, and all those stuff, it boils down to injustice. When the leaders have two rules, one rule applies to one group, the other rule applies to the other group. IPOB was proscribed, as at the time IPOB was proscribed, they were only carrying flags. They were only agitating and protesting peacefully. And then Buhari ran to the courts and do their abracadabra. And again, it still boils down to the fact that one man is so powerful. The constitution has given one man so much power that he can do and undo with 200 million people. He can decide to deploy the military and kill people and nothing happens. Just one man. And it is that 1999 constitution that gave that power. One man can decide to manipulate and change the Supreme Court leader. One man can decide to manipulate and cage the entire National Assembly and the entire Senate. We are in trouble. And if the political leadership does not wake up, especially the political leadership in the North, because I see that they are the one that are against restructuring, they are the one that doesn't want anything to change in the constitution. They are so comfortable. You raise a case of Pantami in the National House of Assembly, it will be shut down. You raise a case of Buhari ineptitude in the National Assembly, it will be shut down. You raise anything in the National Assembly that is against their interest, it will be shut down. How do we want to change a violent approach? I pray for this country. Thank you.
We thank you. Dr. Nonye Obodo, please. If you are still with us.
I don't know what else to say. I think I've heard. But the truth is, the position somebody made about restructuring is up, but so many things are quite out of time, truly. And that is, one of them is the issue of restructuring. It would have made a lot of sense to say, oh, let's sit down again and talk and see how we can move forward. But the fact is that no matter what we do, I still insist that people are so hungry, there's so much despondency, and I don't know how we can at least mitigate such things. Just now, I read, while I was on the conference, I read a communique from the Southeast governors, their reactions from their meeting over the weekend. So many things they wrote and what they would do, how they would partner with state governments, how they partner with established security agencies to solve insecurity in the Southeast. And my comment immediately was, you cannot fashion any form of security outfit that work in the Southeast without having an economic content. People are disgruntled, and without security content, those things will never work. And that is my view. So I still insist that the Southeast governors should be able to come together and to a large extent work towards creating some enabling environment for people to survive before they can think. People are not thinking there's no food in their stomach. So how can we be talking about a lot of people? What is happening in the north is exactly what we want to happen in the east. The economic situation is so low that people can believe anything, so long as it will give them some level of hope. So they are holding on to certain things that are coming from certain people because it gives them some level of hope. And this hope, the only way to counter it is for the established
security government, those who are in government, to create some, at least start doing something, start giving some people hope. There's no other hope except listening to people buying the data of 100 naira and listening to what ESN is saying, what IPOB is saying, what Mefor is saying, because there's nothing coming from the government angle. Incidentally, almost all the governments in the Southeast are not even paying salary again. I mean, I'm serious about this. So there's no money flowing around, the cost of goods are higher, and people are hungry, and people cannot. So anything that we are doing now, we must look at the economic content. The Southeast governors can be talking about improving security without talking about, without including an economic content to it. How do they improve the living conditions of people? How do they make people at least believe them again? And without that, whatever they are doing will not work. So every other thing we are saying here about national, I don't think it makes any sense until people start having food on their table. That's my view. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Alibaba.
Okay,
Please,
Dan, sorry if you just give me a minute. We need to understand the concept of economy, because when people keep talking economy and poverty, they don't really understand how this works. Let me explain it in simple terms. We have two families. One family has three children and one son, and they have the same size of farms, okay? Productive capability says, what can each family produce? So family A can produce 10 tubers of yam, family B can produce 10 tubers of yam. Now, if family A is given the freedom and the liberty without any law restricting them, family A can decide to build a machinery that can enable them to produce more yam. So what happens? They have increased their productive capability. So from producing 4 yams, they can produce 10 yams. The machinery can go ahead and improve. They start producing 100 yams and selling and making money. But if there is a law that tells them that they cannot produce that machinery, how would they grow? And that is the problem we have in Nigeria. The exclusive list and the concurrent list is the devil in the 1999 constitution. It needs to be taken off. Let people grow. We have the intelligence. We have the intellectuals. The Nigerians are all over the world. They are making strides. They are developing other people's country. Then you come to your country, somebody will sit in Abuja and tell you need approval for you to bring your friends together to build power. How can a country develop without power? I'm looking at everybody on this screen now. You can tell who is in Nigeria and who is not in Nigeria. You can tell. So how much does it cost to install a windmill of, say, 20 meg or whatever that can serve a community? Why will government force me, if I'm able to raise money in London and get my people to come and invest in my place and generate power and serve a small group who are ready to pay? But government is telling me that when I build it, I have to connect it to national grid. Then Abuja will take it and distribute it the way they like. So when people are agitating that they want to leave, let us understand the cost of the main matter. People are caged. They cannot develop. They cannot grow. Let me tell you, the only way you can develop is if you leave that country. Now, if you leave that country, you go and develop other people's country at your old age. When are you going to come back? If you're in another man's country, you will always be treated as a second-class citizen. Let us take off that 1999 constitution. And I am calling on the Senate and the House of Reps and the political leadership. Let them do the needful. Or else, the insecurity will keep on going.
I think we should create another discussion for you on this topic, Marcel. Mohammed, please, come on board, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you.
Can I have a minute, please?
Hello?
Just a minute, please. Just a minute. I'm rounding up. A minute, please. Can I? Just a minute.
Okay,
please, Alibaba, I'm sorry for this. I want to react to what Marcel said. I just want to react to what he said. You see, the truth about it is that when you talk about power, I can understand power should be deregulated, yes. But we are talking about the basic need of life. Okay, as we speak today, the man will receive 100,000 naira before the end of the week. 70 to 80,000 naira goes up north to buy granules, palm oil, beans, maize, pepper, and nothing is produced in the Southeast. Okay, so this has nothing to do with power. The man in Port Harcourt, same. The man in Enugu, same. Probably the man in Ebonyi a little different, or the man in Enugu. But this is just a consistent thing. Just this weekend,
if I have my money, if I have my money, I don't need to farm. You don't even understand this. America is a service-based, industry.
Marcel, I will meet you.
You're talking about people surviving.
If I have my money, I don't need to farm. I will buy. If I have my money, allow me to grow.
I don't know
Allow
you.
me to
You
grow.
talk about billions. I don't talk about billions the way you talk. I'm talking about nothing about.
Hello.
Let Mohammed speak now.
Can I? You see, I find it at times, if not because of the seriousness of the situation, because some take them serious, I find it laughable when I have people grandstanding and pretending to be speaking for people. And these are the kind of persons that all they have is access to the media, or people that cannot win election, even in their voting units. And then they will pretend they are speaking for a whole ethnicity just because they have access to the media. Now, this lie about Constitution, 1999 Constitution being fraudulent or doctored, it's also another false narrative, because it's a complete replica of the 1978 Constitution. And there has been no Constitution in living memory that has undergone the kind of process the 1978 Constitution went through: the Constituent Assembly, the consultation, and even the best brains we had at that time, at that point in time, were the ones that created it. But most importantly, you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. You cannot have another constitution without going through this existing process to change it. And it's 20 years now since this democracy started. Nobody have moved such emotion. Even the so-called restructuring, the state police, they only come to the media to rabble-rouse, to grandstand, just for maybe to get hits or to make a hype. The National Assembly is the root, or the state assemblies. But these guys, because they are mere noisemakers, fringe groups, and rabble-rousers, they have not even been able to bring it to the forefront of the polity, to enable them stand for election and win and go and represent the people and speak on that. But they will always find some cheap media sources and then be grandstanding and instigating other gullible ones.
Can I reply this, Mohammed Ali? Can I reply?
No, let me finish.
Can I reply him? Can I reply?
Let me finish.
Ike, you will speak after him. Let's just listen and I'll come to you, Ike.
So all this grandstanding, whoever really wants, most of those that are urging these street urchins to convert, to transform their areas to another northeast, are mostly out of harm's way. They are either in Lagos or in the north or wherever they are in their comfort, or abroad mostly. So, and they don't care because they are angry and unable to restrain their anger under misguidance. All this issue about some people being preferential. How can the cow herder leave the north and go to the south under that humiliation? Or the cobbler or the megad if he's comfortable where he is? So these people that, for instance, now I used to cite the issue of Uzodinma and Okorocha. Is any of them from Zamfara? Is one not accusing the other of the violence that is being unleashed on Imo now? Is any of them a non-Igbo or a non-Imolite? So we need to face up to this issue that this elite, they only call on tribe, ethnicity, or religion just to keep people divided so that they'll continue with their exploitation. Check out the list. Since the days of Abiola, I used to cite the issue of African Ocean Lines or Habib Bank. Both Eradua and Abiola own those banks, and they never separated despite all the crises in June 12. And that is how the elites have consistently been, where their private interests are. They don't care about tribe or ethnicity, but they want to knock heads because they want to remain relevant and continue with the privileges. And a lot of us, despite the education and the so-called exposure, we surrender, we subscribe. And this is the benefit. So misgovernance, corruption, and poor leadership permeates from every ward, local government, state, and abroad. And so long as we don't focus and address them, we'll continue to be chasing shadows. But the fundamentals must be stuck to. Restructuring or whatever can only happen in Nigeria, except if you have a coup. But if
no, don't mute him, please. If you muted him,
to go through the process. Most of these people are just self-appointed rabble-rousers. That's all. Right. And that's why for 20 years now, none of that has made any impact.
Mohammed, well, anyway, let's not go into the question of whether the elected leaders are actually representing the people.
But they went through election. Now let the next person go through the election.
Yeah, let's not.
Okay.
Okay, let's call
it. Something, please.
Let's call Ike. Please, only Ike should speak now. Kasmia, just wait. Let's see Ike, please. Kasmia, let's call Ike to speak. All right, Ike, unmute yourself.
Let's be polite. Let's be polite. Mohammed, thanks for your contribution and thank all for their contribution. Firstly, I ask, is this Onwuasoanya is the guy who worked with Rogers? I don't know if he's the person who worked with Rogers. If we can take it through perspective, there was a time one of my professors, I was discussing with him, and the wife asked me, why is Nigerian politicians so rich? Why are Nigerian politicians so rich? I said, I don't know. He said, are they investors? Are they producing anything? Why are they so rich? That there's no how you will serve in a government and you come out to be a rich person. I don't know. Up to today, nobody have answered that. How come Rogers became so rich in Imo State that even the next local government, there's no access road to Imo State, and it's the Northerners who put Rogers in Imo State, and you're not telling me that is the Northern Caliphate that always go to Rogers and the
so they are the ones that go to Imo and vote.
And they just don't worry the voting. Their voting doesn't count. There's no election. Even in 1999, take it. In 1999, Olusegun Obasanjo never won the election. I was there at Abuja. Jimmy Carter came all the way from America.
In fact, it's a blatant lie. That's a blatant lie. So who won the eleelection?
Muhammad, allow him to finish.
When you were speaking, I was not.
Muhammad, allow him to finish. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Obasanjo never won the election. It was Olufale who won the election. I was there at Abuja. And the people who voted this, I was in Wuse, Zone 6. All the way, they came with trailers and poached people into Abuja in 1999. And this is a long-term, coup against the democracy. Then the next thing I want to say, people are talking about security. What is security? There is first long-term security and the mid-term security in the first place. I'm a criminologist, and we are now into a technology that is easy even to monitor a whole. You be in your room, you monitor a whole town. You be in your room, you monitor a whole city. Anything that moves, you can monitor it. There's no need of asking us. And the security is not about physical security, this gun. Everybody carrying gun. It's not the security. Security starts from the school, from the primary school, secondary school, to a university, and security starts even from the women group, the men group, everything. That's where security matters. And security is not this type of security we are talking now. This is what we call physical security. I'm a criminologist. I have this knowledge. This is what we call physical security. And physical security cannot save any country. Ask anywhere. Okay, let me give you a practical example of what they call food bank.
You have 20 seconds remaining, sir.
Yes. You have what is called food bank. In every community, there's a food bank. And in every community, security starts from the bottom to top. Security doesn't come from top to down. It's always from the bottom to top. Like as an individual, is your closet that you can put your money, you put what you have, is there. That's how security starts. Security never starts from, okay, you call Abuja to come with army and police. That is not security. So let us be sincere and water. And this is Mohammed, you are talking about the Northerners. I was there. Allah Majiri, they are so poor that are they talking of this? You see people poverty there, and two people wearing a big agwada telling you they will not restructure Nigeria. They will not restructure Nigeria. If they restructure Nigeria today, the North will benefit more, and the economic reality will come to the poorest of the poor. And one thing you have to understand: poverty is nothing but slavery. Poverty is nothing but slavery. If you are poor, you are a slave. So let it go to your people's mind that poverty is not about slavery. If you open good roads, if like Mbakwe did, open every access road in Imo State. At that time, it was only in his house today, you only see 2 buildings from Mbakwe's house. Mbakwe has no estate, nothing. Rangers came and built estate because the Northerners put them down, give you army and police. And then army and police will be rattling to everybody. So that's the, is this Onwuasoanya, the person who worked with
my brother, leave Onwuasoanya FCC alone. You have made your point. Thank you very much. Your points are very well made. I think we should be coming to the end of this conversation. Our time has virtually run out. However, let's be fair. I don't know whether any of our discussants still want to make any contribution. Let me know. Otherwise, let's just sorry, who is talking? Sorry. Okay, otherwise, let's just take the guys who have raised up their hand for a long time. Let's just be fair to them. But please, promise you will speak for only 1 minute and no more. 1 minute.
Dan, please.
I will come to you. I will just allow those who raised up their hand.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just 1 minute, and then we allow our lead discussants to.
Round up.
Yeah, we round up. We will be ending this. Let's start from Chukwudi.
Why did you jump that guy? That's another person.
Sorry?
That guy has a lot of influence in that community.
Onwuasoanya, are you speaking in a group? Okay. Chukwudi Onwuka, please. Just 1 minute, please. Strictly 1 minute. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. And I've heard what other people said. But my question is this. My feeling is this, that Nigeria has always been ruled by the Fulanis, directly or indirectly. And this is the first time that we noticed that the playbook of Ottoman Folio is being used to rule Nigeria. Other ones cannot use the playbook. Now, this time around, we have been seeing people who have been marginalized, the Igbos. We have seen that also what Igbos do well, that is business. They have tried to disintegrate the Igbo man from doing the business right. They have stopped every business is going in Igbo land, thereby creating second Amaj race in the eastern region. And this is what is creating another problem in the eastern part of Nigeria. It is obvious that the government do not want progress in that country, because everything they do is geared towards making everybody poor, so that we can destabilize the country, so we can create unfortunate situation for them to rule the whole Nigeria in the way they want, making everybody a match rich.
All right.
This is what
I thank you very much. Mr. Ilikanu, please, just 1 minute. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Or do we move on?
Dan, don't be too much in a hurry if you're looking for solution. So, yeah. So the young man has said it all. You see, what baffles me is that the so-called leaders of Nigeria, whether it's Fulani or even our state governors, all of them travel to abroad. They go to various hotels and lodge. They have everything working. They buy their Rolls Royce, somebody else made, and no road in their region. Are they not ashamed What is the problem that they cannot develop Nigeria and enjoy the same thing they enjoy in Dubai? That is the question. And this man that talked, I don't know whether it's Alhaji or what, that found the Nigerian constitution good. I want to ask you, this thing you are saying to change the constitution, we know that you have to go to the National Assembly. But what is the structure in the National Assembly? Any bill you bring there, the Northerners have the majority, unless it favors them. What are you talking about? You see the right thing. It's like doctors, when somebody dies, the doctors have cured the disease, but they don't know what killed that fellow. You go to pathologists, and the pathologist will tell you the cause of the death. That the cause of Nigerian illness and eventually the death is the constitution. Right. We have to throw it away. Enough is enough. How can people be leading a country for donkey years and no dividend for it? And you are talking.
Thank you.
Have resources. No, wait, let me finish, please. We have resources, the natural resources, we have human resources, and yet we are backward. Enough is enough. Stop talking or going up and speaking grammar. Let these people get out of the government. Simple. Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yes, you can come in or go out.
Very interesting.
Very annoying. Look at me at my age. I'm spending 60 years overseas. After my studies, we came in 60s to study and come back home. And the majority of us are here. And you tell me rubbish.
And you refuse to come back to come and develop it. You are just
without you open my office.
Without you open my office in 1982. Who developed that place where you are based now for these years now? Why can't you come and develop your
Mohammed, I
think in Nigeria.
I think we should have some respect, please. Let us respect each other, please.
Okay, let's
Mohammed should shut up his hand.
Oh, can I respond?
Okay, no, please. I will. I think we should meet everyone now. Let's observe the proper decorum here. Kasmi and Wafa, please, just 1 minute. Our time is up, and our discussants should make their contribution. Just 1 minute, please.
Yes, what I'm suggesting is that Nigeria must go back to 1963 platform. Whatever we are saying here, without addressing that, we are not serious. The UK just cancelled their so-called, what they call it, their so-called granting IPOB or ESN members asylum. We don't need that. We're not criminal. We're not hungry. We don't need that fucking asylum. What we need is for them to come here and conduct a referendum and restructure Nigeria for us.
But they cannot do that. But Britain cannot come to Nigeria to restructure Nigeria.
They know what they will do. They know. They are say control this government. They say control this country. We can't pretend about it. They have their way around Nigeria. Thank God the US intervened. US have told them.
Anyway, I don't know when news start flying all over the place.
It's not
and
news.
We are not
whatever
able
happens,
to.
Whatever happens, we have some information.
Well,
they have been told this. If this country is not restructured in the next 4 years, then forget Nigeria.
Okay, we thank you. I don't know. Okay, let's take Wind Bacha Ejinde because he has raised up his hand. All the reason of the hand now, we must go back to our lead discussants. But Ejinde, please, Mr. Ejinde, go ahead. Please unmute yourself. And then we go back to our lead discussants and then conclude the discussion. Ejinde, please. Yes, go ahead.
Very good. What I'm saying here is, I think I'm about the youngest person here. I'm a youth.
I'm also a youth too.
Beautiful. So we are not age mates. I'm
also a youth.
I've been around a lot of persons, and most of these people that we schooled together, most of these people that we learned businesses together, because I, for one, after graduating from the university, I served 7 years under another Abalum boy, if you understand what that means, even with my education, so that I can be the government hasn't given jobs. I have gone to learn a trade, and the government is still pressing my neck. A lot of the Nigerian youth online and internet fraud, and this is the reason. You're talking about security when you have not provided jobs. How would security thrive if there are no jobs? You are talking about taking it to the National Assembly.
All right.
How would bills be passed to the National Assembly when we don't have equal representation?
All right.
And then now, why are they not afraid? Hold on, sir. Why are they not afraid of implementing the comfort report? Or why are they afraid of do I say referendum? Because if a person is not satisfied with a nation,
hello,
the person has the right to ask, or a people have the right to ask for a referendum.
Okay.
So why are they afraid of it? It is a democratic right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thank you very much. Please, if we continue to go on and on, we will not leave here today. We must conclude this in the next 5 minutes. And for that, let's allow our lead discussants to please make their 1 minute presentation, and then that will be the conclusion of the discussion. Can we start from Fcc Jones? Are you still with us? 1 minute?
Yes. Thank you very much. I think we have had a very extensive discussion, and we have learned a lot. But I will want to insist that we, as much as possible, try to become Nigerians before going to our different ways. Let us stop politicizing the issue of insecurity. Let us explore ways to solve this or reduce it, because there is nowhere in the world where there are no instances of violence, even in the most advanced countries of the world. So, but it is more important that we stop politicizing or trivializing the issue of insecurity by making it an ethnic thing. There are people of Yoruba stock who are killed in the southeast. There are people of Fulani stock who are killed in Lagos. So whatever we can do, let us be Nigerians first. Work towards making Nigeria work. And when that happens, we'll be able to be better in our different ethnic nationalities. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Mr. Makanjuola, next, please. 1 minute. Is he still with us? Mr. Makanjuola. I think he made his concluding talk the other time anyway. So, Mr. Marcel, I think you made your concluding talk the other time.
Dan, I have made my point clear. The political leadership in Nigeria, they have to decide whether they want to save the country or they want to sink the country. Is their decision. It both is in their hands, and I believe they can save this country. I don't think anybody really wants to leave Nigeria. Let me be honest to you. Everybody has their pains. Those pains can be addressed. The political leadership can address those pains, and the economy of the country, the pot will be bigger. See, I can tell you 100%, God has blessed Nigeria. We have a very good weather. Make Nigeria safe. Allow people to innovate. Let regions, we have 6 regions now, let them grow at their own pace. Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, they are all within UAE, but they're growing at different rates. That is what is in the whole world, and that is what the whole entire world is practicing. True federalism. The political elites should, the doctrine of necessity, Buhari should, doctrine of necessity, save Nigeria. If they think they can continue using violence, then we're all in it.
Mr. Mohammed, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been very interesting discussion, but I think a lot of us cheaply surrender to toxic narratives or carry over, say Fulani dynasty or whatever. And I will continue to ask. Now, when I ask between Uzodinma and Okorocha, who came from Zamfara, they say they are all acolytes. Now, if the only process we have, some people are calling for process to go through the National Assembly, is because they have popular mandate. You don't expect that for any reasonable person. Somebody that has popular mandate and another person that simply declares himself as a spokesperson of an ethnicity or a group has superior mandate.
If you truly represent the people, why can't they send them to those assemblies? You should go and contest and go to assembly. And then, most importantly, some of us that are asking for us to go back to 1963 or alluding to a 6 geopolitical zone, we don't have 6 geopolitical zones. In fact, why only Yorubas and Igbos are insisting on this so-called true federalism is because they are a homogeneous lot. Me in the North Central, I have nothing in common with the man in Plateau apart from our geographic neighborliness. So why should anybody want to group me with him?
Serious. It's serious at all.
Mohammed, you can come to the Southeast. We'll take you. Come and join us.
When you're already converting it to
No. We love you. Come and join our zone. I will host you.
No, I don't love. I grew up partly in Maiduguri. I have not gone back there for a while because of violence. So why should I come to a place where they are trying to emulate Maiduguri or Northeast? Those are the issues. So let's face up to the fundamentals. The leadership from the world, local government, and federal level are already. Somebody has asked, why are politicians richer? It's simply, and that is what cares. So every other thing is a fallout of misgovernance. But so long as we continue to subscribe to this ethnicity, this thing will not finish, because the criminal in your midst, after all, even the so-called true federalism or secession, these same people will inherit those structures. All these rabble houses will still be on the sidelines because they are not in the system. So
I will ask you a question, Alibaba, but I wouldn't stop the other people from making their submissions. If you are still here when they finish, I will ask you one question I would like you to consider. Let's go to Otunba Osenie, please. Otunba Osenie, 1 minute, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I'll try and fix what I want to say as a summary. Again, I want to make everybody here tonight understand that if we do not discuss issues, causes of our problems, we're not going to find solution. It's been established, and I'm sorry, I have to keep using myself as an example. I find it difficult to change the way and manners I've seen two worlds. Nobody can give me a reason why I should have to revert back to a climb where there's no respect for human rights, where there's no respect for ordinary providing basic things for the people of Nigeria. I don't want to stop at Buhari's level. Somebody said all this rubbish and nonsense started from far back 1940. It shows clearly the kind of people we are. Have we ever asked ourselves, why do I want to be only champion of everybody, take advantage of everybody? Oh, I have my driver. Oh, I have my tailors. Oh, I have my watchman. I have all this kind of thing. And I have my generator anyway. What kind of people are we? I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody. The sensibility is that we lack it, we don't understand it. That in a governance, we have gone past the state of nation. We need to understand that governance should be for everybody, support everybody. And I will continue to say this. I'm provided for in the country where I live. And if Mr. Mohammed says to everybody here tonight, I'm really surprised that he must go back and check the history of elections. 99.9% of elections in Nigeria have been rigged. People have been selected out of I don't know whether, he also appreciated that the Constitution of 1999 is so fraudulent. Why did the federal government challenge it?
I think he has addressed that topic. Dr. Obodo, please. Dr. Obodo, please. I think
very well.
Please.
Give me your email. I will send you right.
Mr. Mohammed,
don't know what they're
Mr. Mohammed.
Okay, wait. Hello. Please.
I'm here.
Otunba.
When the Southwest decided to take action in a relationship where if it is a man and a woman, when one side is not happy, they take action by wanting to divorce each other or separate.
Okay.
In a big organization, when they're not happy, or Nigeria, they take a decision to invoke force majeure.
All right, thank you, Dr. Otunba. Thank you, please. Let's, Dr. Obodo, please, finally.
Okay. I simply want to say that the Baba that spoke, that never had an encounter with Mohammed, said something, asked a question. These leaders travel abroad. And he asked, don't they feel shame? Are they not ashamed of themselves? And then somebody said something about, are these people who are representing us in the Senate not elected? You see, I've always insisted that the leadership you get is what you deserve.
at the back of all these problems is the issue that we have become so valueless. You just get into power, everybody starts praising you, nobody asks your attention, nobody asks anything. People just want to work with you no matter who you are. You see, so I don't know, when we talk, we need to also at least review who will bring out to represent us. Are elections held? What are people doing to change the scenario? Are the people who are in the Senate? Because all these things wouldn't have been happening if we have the right people who are elected in power. If we have the right governors, the right senators. So these are also part of the things that are causing serious problems. Because people feel defeated. People feel that they don't have a right to speak again. And this having a right to speak or having a right to participate in activity, including having a right to elect the right people too. So without proper elections, I don't think we'll see us we'll keep having security. But there must be an avenue to voice your grievances. And one of the major avenues is in your voting strength, in your voting power. And those things have been denied by the people for a long time. Not just now, but it has been consistently that way for a very, very long time. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. At this point, I will officially end this discussion. However, if you want, so that any of our guests that feels he should leave can now leave without us feeling offended. So I will thank all our lead discussants, and then they are free to leave. But anybody who wants to stay for a little 10 minutes, 1 second, let me finish, so that anybody who wants to stay for another 10 minutes can now do so. So let me thank Dr. Mefor for being with us tonight. Mr. Fcc Onwuasoanya, thank you very much. Mr. Adigun Makanjuola, thank you. Mr. Marcel Ngogbehei, thank you. Alibaba Mohammed, thank you very much. And Otunba Olabode Osenie, thank you all very much for honoring our invitation to come and speak on this topic. Having said that, you are now free to go. And then let me allow James to make his point at this point. So, James, what do you want to say?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I came on late, but I will just share wisdom with us. And I've been here for quite some years now. The problem we have in Nigeria is very unique. And
sorry, I think everybody's unmuting. Let me mute all the way, then I'll ask you to unmute again, please.
Okay, the little problem we have in Nigeria is unique. One, we segregate ourselves, and once we partition ourselves, we can move forward. Before we will be talking about referendum, we have to talk about devolution of power first. I live in the UK. What they've done with Scotland, Wales, and England is devolution of power. Until they give devolution of power to different regions, you cannot migrate into referendum. Why did I say that? You see, until some things have been proven wrong, you will not be able to go to the final solution. Before you can be seeking for divorce in marriage, you must have litigate against it. And if it's not working, then you move on. The problem we're having is when you live if a Yoruba man live in the East, they don't have a say. If a Igbo man live in Lagos, they have say. If a Hausa man live in Lagos, they have say. If Igbo man live in Kaduna, they don't have a say. You understand? It is Yoruba that is like the level ground. You understand? Yoruba hosts everybody. Yoruba do things, and we cannot continue to segregate each other. Let us fight together as Nigerians. One, I understand why people are saying it is this way, it is that way. But the little thing is, if we can argue this thing as a Nigerian together, and once we don't get devolution of power, Jonathan was there. There was no noise then. If Jonathan was there, he left. People did not cry then that he should do the referendum then. And now it is a Hausa man that is there. We are making noise. I live in London. I moved to Scotland. My benefit was not taken away from me. It is not attached to my citizenship. It is attached to my location. So if everybody live anywhere in Nigeria and they can access everything they need to access, I think that there will be no problem. This the segregation we have given ourselves. This is Igbo. I serve in Port Harcourt. I benefit National Youth Service then, like 22 years ago. So all these things we're talking about, if we can fight as Nigerian first, then there is devolution of power to different regions to be able to do certain things. In Scotland, you cannot talk about immigration by yourself. Policing in Scotland is quite different from policing in England. So if we can follow this simple thing, the problem Nigeria is having is we copy American, we copy UK. Where do we stand? We are talking about politics. God will help us. If we can really look into the Nigerian problem critically, we will find solution that will be befitting for us as a unique people. Thank you.
May they are playing is their playbook. The playbook of Ottoman Dofre is working now for them. It's not we're saying that we're thinking that they don't enjoy it. Believe me, the people that are doing this enjoying what is happening now. They love the situation because they want to take control of everything. That's exactly what is happening. Nobody is more Nigerian than an Igbo man. We live everywhere. We love every possible. We want to deal with everybody. We have been so marginalized in Nigeria to the extent that everybody knows it. We are given 20 pounds at the end of the war. We made something out of it, and still they don't like it. It's obvious to them, obvious to everybody.